Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Planet Coaster Alton Towers. We are back finally in Alton Towers and we're going to be moving on to Tower Street. My curious mind did spin Wizard over the past few weeks and this has actually put us on the ending stages of finishing Phase 1A. Of course this is targeted to be released at the end of July. I do feel like this project is well on its way to be released at the end of July. Of course, if you didn't already know, we're going to have Tower Street, Spinball Wizard, X Sector, the Towers, Hex and Battle Galleons. Those are all going to be in Phase 1A, and then of course when that releases we'll be starting Phase 1B. So yeah, we're making really good progress with this Alton Towers project. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, then please do consider subscribing because it helps out the channel a lot more than you think. And with that being said, let's get into today's time lapse. So then for the first part of today's video, I'm going to be starting off with Corner Coffee, which it's gone through a few changes throughout the years. Of course in 2015 they refurbished it, they gave it a whole new interior and it looked like nice and cool and stylish, and Tower Street has gone under a lot of changes throughout the years. There's a lot of stuff on Tower Street that used to be there, like the Tower Street Bar and Grill. That was a big restaurant there, that's like a teacher's lounge now, I think. Of course the biggest change that Tower Street has had was in 2016 when they started repainting the buildings on Tower Street, and I found it quite difficult as well to build Tower Street now, to actually start it, because the street view that I use for Alton Towers and to do all this is from 2009 when the buildings on Tower Street had the old paint job that they had in like until 2015. So it was difficult really, because I needed to find pictures of what the new paint job was like and what the buildings actually did look like now, because whilst you might say, oh but it's just a different colour, it can't be that hard, you're wrong there, because there's like little details and little sorts of things that I need to get the right colours of, because I'm looking at it in the street view. I don't know if I've done that the right colour, like maybe guttering or a few roof brackets that are the wrong colour, I don't know. So yeah, just doing Corner Coffee here, and of course today it was announced that theme parks can reopen on the 4th of July, which is tremendous news for the theme park industry, but unfortunately it is too late for somewhere like Wixty Park, and it was really sad for Wixty Park to go. Of course I said my goodbyes to it, didn't bother to make a video about it though, because I mean that's not what this channel is about really. This channel's about building some cool things in Planet Coaster. This channel's not about some bad news in theme parks. But anyway, theme parks can of course reopen on the 4th of July. There's a lot of measures being put in place, some new measures that they've announced as well. I believe Alton Towers has announced that if you want to ride some of the big coasters like Nemesis, Wickerman, etc., you have to wear a mask, and that's quite interesting. I mean, my guess it's something to do with maybe like lots of people scream and maybe you're ejecting like particles when you scream and everything that could infect someone else if you're asymptomatic. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why they are requiring you to wear facial masks. It has of course been announced that the Alton Towers dungeons will also remain closed. Not sure on Hex, I really don't know. I didn't see any news on Hex. I assume that's just going to be open and it'll be reduced capacity. But yeah, Alton Towers dungeons will not reopen, and I want to talk a bit about, you know, the dungeons and that style of attraction, and talk about scare mazes as well. And of course this is something that has been going around in the theme park community for a long time now, since the whole pandemic started. Will we be getting Scarefest and Fright Nights this year? And my opinion on this is we will, but I don't see scare mazes happening. You know, Scarefest Alton Towers can still go on, they'd still do shows and entertainment and all the theming and the park atmosphere, you know, they can still do that. But without scare mazes, it will be different, it will be very different. But I really don't understand how they'll be able to do scare mazes with social distancing in place. Now of course, you know, it's months away from now, we don't know what's happening, you know, by the time October comes around, maybe like all the social distancing rules will be out the window and we can have scare mazes. But yeah, they are setting up the scare mazes right now in the towers, because Theme Park Worldwide uploaded a video last week and he was showing that they were playing the audio from the attic. Terror Towers The Attic was playing. I assume that's just like testing, and so they are setting stuff up for Scarefest just in case it does go ahead. Fright Nights, however, Fright Nights isn't really anything if you take away the scare mazes, because that's all Fright Nights is, to be honest. Yeah, you got a bit of park atmosphere and a bit of park theming all around, but the main attraction of Fright Nights are the scare mazes. You know, they don't really do a lot of shows like Alton Towers do. I mean, Scarefest, it's got the scare mazes, but then you've also got the entertainment and the shows for the families and the kids. Whereas Fright Nights, it's purely based on the scare mazes. Just to talk a bit about what I'm doing here, I'm doing all the windows that are in Corner Coffee. All of these are like office spaces. A lot of the buildings on Tower Street is office space. If you can't go into a building on Tower Street, then it's because it's an office. And I believe this is where all the central offices are, to be honest. I mean, you of course got Magic HQ, which is the big green building behind Mutiny Bay. That's like the main staff building. And you've got staff buildings all around the resort, really. But there's a lot of office space in Tower Street, and this pink building I'm doing here I believe is another office, because you can't go into this building. Of course, once again I found this quite difficult because there wasn't actually any good pictures of this pink building, because the street view I had, this was like a beige beach colour, and it was from 2009 of course, but you know, all the little details, I need to see all the little details, see what colour they are. It's just a bit difficult to do, basically, let's just say the least. And if I'm going to talk about an honest opinion here, it's that I don't actually like the paint job that Towers Love and Care did for the 2016 season. I prefer the old paint job on Tower Street, to be completely honest. I feel like it looks much more authentic, it looks much more historical, whereas with these painted colourful buildings, yes, it suits the branding of Alton Towers. You know, you see this kind of Tower Street in all the adverts and everything, but it just looks tacky. It looks like it's come out of Fantasy Island. It's just a bit, yeah, I get what they're going for, but to be honest, I really don't like the colourful buildings. I just prefer the old paint job. It was just nice, it was authentic and historical, really, and it actually felt like this was a street leading up to the Tower Ruins. Now it just feels a bit more cartoony and just tacky, and feels like it should belong in Cloud Cuckoo Land, to be honest. So as you can probably tell already, I'm using a lot of pieces for these buildings. I am trying my absolute best to keep piece count down. I've made sure not to use any roof tile pieces for the roofs or anything. I've made sure to use the absolute biggest piece that can fit, so I won't have to use like more and more little pieces to fill the area. I really have been trying my best to keep piece count down, but at the end of the day, I can't solve the low FPS on this park. And yes, I will admit right now, the whole park is currently low in FPS count. I am on lowest graphics settings right now, and I hate being on lowest graphics settings. It's utterly horrible. I really don't like it. But even with lowest graphics, I'm only getting around 30 or 40 FPS in this park at the moment. So right now, I am considering maybe splitting it up into 3 worlds. I've already mentioned this, but I am seriously considering this, because by the time we actually do get around to doing Catania Canyon and Gloomy Wood, who knows what the FPS is going to be like. You know, it's already about 35 or 40 FPS. We've still got Dark Forest, the Alton Towers Dungeons, Walliams World, Wickerman, Mutiny Bay, and Battle Galleons all to do, and Cbeebies Land as well. You know, and I think when I've completed those areas, I'll look at the FPS, I'll look at the performance, you know, and say, can we put Catania Canyon and Gloomy Wood in this? Because if we can't, then I'm thinking about maybe split up to 3 worlds, where the second one will be Catania Canyon, Gloomy Wood, and Forbidden Valley, and the third world will be the resort complex. It's just frustrating, really, how Planet Coaster is appallingly bad in optimization. They've optimized it for consoles, because they announced it. They said Planet Coaster is running well on console, and so many people have been asking them, can we get this for an update for PC? And the answer they give all the time is just, we're not focusing on PC right now. Like they haven't been for the past year. It's been more than a year since Planet Coaster PC received its last update and last DLC, so it's a bit frustrating how Frontier have essentially abandoned this game. Really, they aren't developing it at all, apart from just a few bug fixes and security updates, so it's kind of frustrating. Here I am starting the Cbeebies Land area, however, this isn't in Phase 1A, so this is just cosmetic reasons right now, because it's basically part of Tower Street, but yeah, this is all in Phase 1B, this is not in Phase 1A, so we aren't going to be building Cbeebies Land just yet. That'll be coming up in a few months' time when we complete Phase 1A. So that being said, I'm gonna leave you now. You'll be getting a few cinematics of the Tower Street buildings I've built in this episode at the end of the video. That'll be in just a few minutes time, of course. So yeah, enjoy the last few minutes of the time lapse and building the Cbeebies Land entrance. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, then please do consider subscribing because it helps out the channel a lot more than you think. After that being said, I'll see you in tomorrow's video where we'll be doing some more work on Tower Street, probably moving over to the Teachers Lounge area and maybe even Towers Trading. So then, I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. Goodbye.